Hi everybody, it's Wanda Baader here from Strategize Your Success, and I'm joined by my co-host Cynthia Bazin from SmartChic, and together we are Hot Tips for Biz. Are you there, Cynthia?
Yes, I am. Hey, Wanda, I'm so excited to be here for our first show, Hot Tips in Biz. What I want to do is I want to introduce our guest host, who is Gail Foley of OneAwesomeCommunity.com. She's a podcaster, but she's just not a podcaster. She is an awesome podcaster, so thank you so much for being here, Gail.
Oh, thank you.
And then for our guest expert, today we have Robin Taney of Studio 4 PR, studio4pr.com. Welcome, Robin.
Hi, everybody.
All right, Robin, thank you so much for being here. And today we're going to be talking about fear of exposure. Fear of exposure in PR. So, Robin, why don't you just give us a little background about yourself, and then let's just jump right into it. What do you mean, fear of exposure?
Well, thank you, Cynthia. I am the Get Real girl from Studio 4 PR, and the reason for that is because there's 4 core principles that I believe every business needs to have in order to be successful, and that's to be realistic, be engaging, be authentic, and be of the mindset that you want to have a long-lasting relationship with your client. So you might ask, what is it that fear has to do with PR? And the answer is it really has everything to do with it, because if you don't deal with, the fear that may be stopping you, no amount of PR is going to help you. So I've put together 5 tips for your viewers that I think can help them to sort of get their arms around, what the fear is that they're having and make it work for them. Okay. So you want me to just jump in with them?
Well, let me just start off by saying thank you for anybody that's joined us live and watching the replay. If you are live with us for Hot Tips in Biz and you have a question, be sure to go to the chat box and type it in for us, okay? So Wanda's going to be monitoring those questions if you have any. So again, we're here with Robin Taney, Studio 4 PR, to talk about fear of exposure. So Robin, how big is it, before we jump into those tips, and I want to get the feedback from our guest host and Wanda, is that how big is the problem of fear of exposure in PR in your mind?
Well, I think it's bigger than we think it is. If you think about that the number of businesses that go out of business is staggering. 8 out of 10 of them are going out of business within 18 months. And I've talked to a lot of people who they either are afraid of doing something big in their business because it means having to put something else on hold, or they are afraid of not knowing enough, they're afraid of their credibility being compromised, or they have some kind of head trash that stems from people telling them that they're not good enough, or that they can't really do this, or that they don't have what it takes. So I think it's a lot bigger than what we expect it to be, but hopefully with these tips we can kind of try to help some people get their business on the right track.
Wanda, I saw that you were nodding your head when Robin was expressing this. Being in marketing and your business Strategize Your Success, do you see that with your clients before they start a marketing plan with you? Do you see that in clients that you have? That there's a fear of exposure sometimes?
Absolutely. I think sometimes we are, as individuals, our own worst enemy. We fear that we have that imposter syndrome sometimes, that maybe we're not, good enough to do what the other people that have gone before us are doing. Or maybe we have people in our lives that unfortunately aren't as supportive as they could be. I see a lot of that comes to the table, and it's something that we have to work through as well.
Gail, can you relate to any of this? Have you experienced this, or people that you've worked with that they're just, afraid to get themselves out there?
Oh, absolutely. I lost my lower third again. I apologize. It has gone away. I don't know where it went, but it's gone. Anyway, What has happened for me in selling advertising years ago is it used to surprise me so much that people would not step out in confidence in promoting themselves. They would say, well, I can't say that I'm the best. And it's like, well, if you can't say the best, who can? They did not have the confidence in stepping out and letting people know what they had. So that's something I think came from fear.
Mm-hmm. And when I see that too, I think the huge word of just confidence. People just don't have sometimes the confidence to get started. They go, well, who's really going to want to hear my message? You know what I mean? So that's really, it's getting that first step to do something to go beyond them just doing it themselves. So I think we all can agree that, you know, there is that fear of exposure out there. So, all right, well, let's see here. Yeah, I think we should. I think we should just start jumping into the tips and get some discussion going. Again, we're in Hot Tips for Biz with Wanda Baader, Robin Taney is our expert today, Gail Foley, and myself. So, all right, Robin, why don't you jump into them?
Okay, well, you know, one thing I'll say based on what Wanda was saying is that you only have to be one step ahead of your client in order to be an expert. You only need to know just a little bit more. So let's put to bed the idea that you have to that there's some threshold that you have to reach in order to know all of this stuff, and that, you know, God forbid you should say that I don't know the answer to that question and I'll get back to you. Let's just dispel that myth right now. So the first tip that I have is that you need to know your why, and you need to know who your ideal client is. And your why is why you do what you do. And it gets at the core of what your passion is. And I don't know about you, but when I'm passionate about something, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. It's just, it empowers you, it gives you that confidence, and it gives you that sense of satisfaction that you're able to help people with your information. So knowing your why is one thing, and then the other part of that is knowing who your ideal client is. And once you know those two things and they align with your core values, you're unstoppable.
You know, I want to have Gail jump in, because just did an interview with Gail last week, and one of the things that we talked to Gail about was her, you know, her passion and how great she is at podcasting. She can just talk and just keep people engaged with what she's talking about. And a lot of what Gail talked about is about passion about the subject, loving what you do. So do you resonate with what Robin is saying, is really knowing your why first?
Yeah, I totally agree with Robin, because if your passion comes from knowing your why, because if you don't know your why, you have no passion. It's just, it's a no-brainer, because if you walk up there and you're like, okay, well, I'm real excited about this stuff, that's not going to work. You got to just jump in, and the enthusiasm just is oozing out of you, so they ask to hear what you're so excited about. That's the key. When they want to know why you're so wound up, then you're walking into your why.
And Wanda, I'd love to get your perspective on what Robin is saying about the niche, you know, market and that sort of thing. I mean, you can obviously, yeah, talk to us about, you know, the why factor too, but really, because of being a marketing specialist, how important is it to really know who your ideal client is?
Well, I think that the closer that you can hone in, the smaller you can make that audience. You know, it's like either you're going to be a little fish in a big sea, or you're going to be a big fish in a little lake. And it's kind of that effect. It's the more that you can narrow it down and you understand what your ideal client is, the more you will attract that type of person to your business. So, you know, a lot of people get to the point where they get afraid. Oh my gosh, well, what if I exclude people? It's not to say that if, you know, like I say, I work with speakers and trainers and entrepreneurs. But if somebody came to me and they sold, you know, life insurance, and they said, I need your help. Of course I could still help them, and I'm not going to say that I can't necessarily help them, but I'm not, putting out my dollars in advertising and my efforts to try to attract everybody and anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I deal with mentoring people, is that once they get really crystal clear clarity about what they want to do, in business, everything seems to get a little bit easier. The confidence level goes up. And so I think that's a perfect step in tip number 1 from Robin, is getting really clear about who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and getting that ideal client. Okay, so Robin, now we're clear. We're super clear on our message. We know who we want to market to. And you know what? Now we're ready to take the next step. So why don't you bring us to tip number 2?
Okay, so tip number 2 is that you want to acknowledge and embrace your fear. We don't go into business knowing how to go into business. And, obviously there's a lot of things that are scary about it, but I want you to imagine that you're standing on the shore at the beach and somebody out in the ocean is drowning.
Mm-hmm.
You would throw them a life preserver. And in
we
business,
hope so. We hope people do.
In business, whatever someone's challenge is drowning them. So your service is going to be that life preserver that they need. And you have to remember that by being able to, just acknowledge it and go with it, is a lot of what can help drive your ability to work through it for yourself, but also to help other people, because they resonate with what they don't want somebody who has no understanding of what it's like to be in their shoes. They want somebody that they can know, like, and trust. So they want somebody who gets them. And that, I think, is an important, reason why being able to just, acknowledge it and, embrace it and, separate the head trash from the part of fear that is exhilarating, and just go with it.
Right. I've shared a story in the past. I know Gail knows it, and maybe Wanda knows it too, but embracing that fear and just really thinking, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, you're not going to die. You know what I mean? You may, get some learning lessons out of it. It might be scary, that sort of thing, but, what's the worst that can happen? It probably is about 6 months ago, I got booked to be on a news station for a 3-minute clip. I know Gail knows the story. And you know what? I thought I was going to get prepared. I was going to get briefed before I went on the set. This was the first time I'd ever done it. Oh, no. I was just waiting in the waiting room. All of a sudden, I'm getting a mic whipped up my shirt, and I'm asking how long before I'm going live, and this is making this story very short. They said in 30 seconds you're going live. I absolutely had no preparation, and so I had to do that self-talk to myself going, well, it's going to happen. So you know what? I know my stuff, and I just tried to focus in on that person that was interviewing me and not thinking about external factors, having a conversation and just doing what I could do to the best of my ability. Sure, you know what, could I have done things better? Of course. But you know what? Once you take that first step, it just gets easier as you move along. So you just got to take that first step.
And I saw that clip, Cynthia, and you were awesome. So I think we're our own worst critic.
Yep.
Yeah, I am. But thank you. You know what? But it's stepping through that fear and really understanding that, you know what? Nothing really bad's going to happen. You're going to do your best and you're going to learn from it. Anybody want to jump in and say something about that? Wanda or Gail?
Yeah, I'll share my story about my podcast.
Great.
I really was told just to get started, but I really had no clues. I sort of had an idea what I was going to do, and so from September, when I first learned about podcasting, until January, I kept getting ready to get ready. I was very, very afraid to pull the plug. So one day I did a show and I thought I hit draft, and oh no, I was published. And so it was taken out of my hands. I was no longer afraid because it just happened. So yeah, you got to pull the plug. You got to just do it.
You know what? Everybody starts being fearful. You know, if you don't have fear, if you don't have that little, you know what? You just, it's normal. It's normal to have fears. So like Robin says, embrace it. One, did you have a story or anything that you can share? I mean, was it always easy?
Please, I have like 100 stories I could share and relate to that. I can relate to the whole live TV thing and the podcasting, and oh my gosh, I remember one time I used Instant Teleseminar, and it's not my favorite platform because of it. It was just like a horrible experience, and I was mortified. But did I survive? Yes.
So everybody out there that, you know what, that has a fear of exposure, of getting yourselves out there in PR, you know what? You will survive, and it's taking that first step. We all have fears, but you know what? Just embrace it. You can break through it, and guess what's on the other side? You know, some great exposure for yourself, some great credibility, lots of things that Robin can share with us. So if you're just joining us on Hot Tips in Biz with myself and Wanda Baader, and who's joining us today is Gail Foley of OneAwesomeCommunity.com, and Robin Taney, who is our expert today from Studio 4 PR, we're talking all about PR and fear of exposure. If you have it, Robin is giving us some great tips how to break through that fear. So we've done 2 tips so far, right, Robin?
Yep.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
Okay, so number 3 is to ask for help. And you know, we don't go into business knowing how to go into business, so we have our certain skill set that we know, but you know, it may mean hiring a media coach if you need help with talking in sound bites, or how to position yourself so that you're an expert and a thought leader, which is what you really want to happen with your brand, getting your brand out there, is to be the go-to person that the media thinks of. But you also want to build strategic alliances and collaborations with people whose ideal client is also yours. So you could be in a similar market and have the same ideal client, but you each offer something different, and it opens you up to a whole new networking opportunity. Like what we're doing here is a whole, you know, opportunity for us to reach other networks and other communities and be able to help people who we might not otherwise come in contact with. So that is, you know, you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and ask for help. Say, I don't know everything that there is to know about doing a podcast. Gail, can you walk me through it? Wanda, I don't know everything that there is to know about, you know, marketing and social media, and she can attest to the fact that just some of the problems that I had trying to get on Google Hangout. So I'm being transparent in saying that, you know, that you don't have to be an expert on everything. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
You know, that's a great point, and just as far as making it easier for yourself, you don't want it to be painful. It's already scary to get yourself out there. So you know what? If you know someone who's done it before, ask them. Collaborate with people. You know, PR isn't just us getting ourselves out there alone. Is what we're doing here today is collaborating. It's PR. It's getting ourselves out there and sharing information. So great. I love that. And, you know, again, we're not experts in everything, and so ask for help. So, Gil, in coming to you, just as far as, you know, your podcasting abilities, you improving on how you do things, I mean, it gets easier as you go along, correct?
Yes. My biggest thing was determining who I wanted to talk to, which is the niche market and the branding and the ideal client. That was the real struggle, is I could get on there and talk about anybody, but who was I talking to and who was I going to help with the conversations I had with myself and my listeners, and who was I interviewing. So once I had that hurdle then things got a lot easier. So yeah, that first thing is not knowing just your why, but who are you addressing with whatever you're trying to help people with. Yes, that does get easier.
And how important is it to you, Gail, as far as collaborating? Do you find that to be an important piece as far as to get yourself out there as a podcaster? Is it helpful to collaborate with other people?
Well, this is exactly what we're doing right here. Is thank you to you, Cynthia and Wanda and Robin. The collaboration is priceless. Without your helping me get valuable interviews, without people raising their hands and say, hey, Gail, I'd really like to be on your show, or people commenting, every little collaboration just makes your world a richer place, which allows you to enrich more lives. And so, yeah, it has to be part of your main PR plan. You have to do that, or your networking, all your efforts are going to fall by the wayside because you're not giving. And in collaboration, you're giving. You're not just receiving, but you're giving. And that's where all of it comes together.
Wanda, any thoughts on asking for help on, what Robin has had to say in regards to this tip?
I advise people that outsourcing is going to be one of the best investments that you can make into your business. And when I say outsourcing, it can mean a variety of different things. And I know budgets can be small and budgets can be big. So it just really depends on that. But sometimes you have to take baby steps. I think that we can probably all attest to the fact that we probably get some virtual VA assistance with our businesses to kind of help us take care of, the things that we can't do it all. There's only 24 hours a day and you have to sleep. So I think that's super important for people too, is to learn how to let go of stuff and say, I can't do it all.
That's a great point, Wanda. Robin, are there some, can you give us an example of something PR-wise that you might be able to delegate out that you wouldn't necessarily have to do yourself? Are there any?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Email marketing is a great one. Having a VA send out your newsletter, doing, press releases, social media management, doing posts on social media, posting a blog post, and then, leveraging that on social media or leveraging it on another blog, like maybe you guest post on another, on a blog that you really like, and you can just change it up a little bit and resend it out. Doing a video, some kind of a video, clip of a conference that you went to, or a talk that you gave, and putting that up on a YouTube channel. VAs, and they're great for all kinds of stuff, so that you can be really focused on the part that you're most passionate about. And then delegate some of the other pieces that are still really important, but that maybe are not in your wheelhouse, and let a VA take it for you.
Great tips. I love the tips for some things that we can delegate out there for PR. So, Robin, how many total tips do we have? We're getting towards 25 past the hour, so I think we need to rock and roll. How many tips do we have,
well,
Robin?
We've done 3. We have 2 more to go.
All right, we need to rock and roll. Number 4.
4. Number 4 is to make your fear part of your brand. Make your fear part of your story. And what I mean by that is that so many times what our passion is comes out of a challenge that we've overcome, or some sort of something that we've triumphed over. So, for example, I have a colleague who is a confidence coach, and but her past is that she came out of a very abusive relationship, and felt anything but confident. And even today, after she's she's a best-selling author, and she's been coaching for a number of years, even today she still has times where she questions, her confidence. And yet what she does is she's, is transparent about it, and she shares that, with people, and she shows them how it is that she works through it. So again, people are seeing that you're a real person, that you have real issues, and that they can, commiserate with you, or that it resonates with them. So, that is something that I think is really important to, actually make that part of who you are, because it is part of who you are. And the fact that you, overcame it is huge.
I know that Gail and Wanda definitely have something to say about this, but I think the people in our lives that we most resonate with and people we do business with are great storytellers, people that we can resonate with. And the bottom line is, for me, I want to do business with someone that I can relate to, and that trust, and respect factor, like you talked about, Robin, and we all talk about in one way or the other. Wanda, we've been at events together, and Gail, we've been at events together. How important is it, vulnerabilities, to hear sort of like the story of somebody?
Well, I think that we all have mentors that we look up to whenever we start our businesses, and even throughout our journey of being business owners. And it's always great to see where someone came from, what they were able to accomplish, because it kind of gives us that thought, well, if they did it, maybe I can do it too. And I think that it's important for us to share, especially as women, because there's a lot of emerging women entrepreneurs in the world right now, that we are very transparent and let people know, yeah, it's not easy. We get up every day and we try our best as we can, and we go out and we learn as much as we can. But it's always great to have those role models of people who are a couple steps ahead of us, to see where they came from, and then make that our own. Not that we're trying to be exactly like them,
right?
Because we can't be like them, but we can be ourselves, and we can grow.
Excellent, excellent. Gail, how important is it for you to hear kind of the backstory, and do you like to hear the backstory of somebody?
Okay, I've been an enthusiast of personal development for a long, long time, and a book on someone else's story literally changed my life. And just, I can't go backwards, but because it was their story and I took their tips and applied them to my life, I was able to change my story. So I share that story a lot to show people how simple you can change your life if you have the right role model, and then you put in place the things that they did to learn how to move on. So yeah, it's invaluable.
Okay, Robin, we're going to jump into our last tip because we are nearing towards the half hour. What's our last tip for the day?
So tip number 5 is to pull the trigger. And that means that at some point you just have to recognize that the day that you're not afraid is the day that your business is not growing. So you should get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. And, like let's say you want to write a book, but you're afraid that if you take the time to write the book, that your business is going to suffer, your clients are going to leave you, that you're not going to have any money, and so you keep putting it off. But you know that it's something that is really and would be a critical boost to your business. So you have to pull the trigger, and you have to just, you take 2 weeks or a month and just, kind of go on a mini hiatus, focus on that, focus on the goal, get it done, and then, and just be transparent and stay in touch with your clients, and post on social media, give updates as to, where you are with it, and they will appreciate that. And then once it's done, and you'll have something else that you can promote, and something else that you've accomplished and overcome that you can then share as part of your story. So
awesome.
Pull the trigger.
Awesome, awesome. So Robin, while you're on the screen, because we are nearing the half hour, is that how can people get in touch with you to learn more about Studio 4 PR?
They can reach me through my website, which is studio4pr.com, and then I'm all over social media, so you can connect with me on Facebook and LinkedIn, Google+, Pinterest, and Twitter. And then my phone number, if they want to just call me directly, is 585-705-0500.
Fabulous. Thank you, Robin. I'm going to let my co-host wrap it up in a few moments, but I want to thank Gail Foley from OneAwesomeCommunity.com by having such a lively discussion. You added so much today. Thank you, Gail, for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to pass it over to Wanda to close us out for this show, which was an awesome one.
Woo-hoo!
Yes, it was a great show. Thank you, everybody. Wonderful comments and great discussion there, Robin. Really appreciate having you on. And I just want to say we will be here on Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please join us every Monday to see what special guests and what special hosts that we have on so that you can join in on the conversation and learn ways to grow your business. So from all of us, I want to say thank you for joining us and have a great day.